click on that one and click on this one. Well, hello everybody and welcome to our class. I hope you guys are having yourself a swell of a day and things are looking up your alley. This is a 2-1 class, okay? I've cut down on 2 chapters and I combined them together, and I'm gonna give it to you guys in today's lecture. Um, if not, of course, we have, of course, the Wednesday class, and we're trying to make the most of it. But for today's conversation, we're going to look and hopefully identify a little bit more about management and leadership. Okay, so now we're talking about the area of applying what we talked about in the first half of our semester. We're going to look out over management and leadership and what does it mean to run a company in Canada. So we're going to look at some important items. We're going to talk about the 4 interrelated functions of management. Why do we need management? And of course, management is all about planning, leading, and controlling a company. Okay. And of course, as I mentioned, there is a fine line between, going to school and starting a company. But please remember, guys, that it is an asset to have these certain, traits, certain fields that you have. And definitely, going to school, I can't predict your future. But what I can predict is that a lot of you guys will be using some or all of the items that we usually talk about. Okay, so it is a ride. Okay, it is a ride. It is bumpy sometimes. It is fun, but nonetheless, this is a process, and you guys understand and learn a little bit more about companies. So we'll talk a little bit about how companies are developed and implemented through its strategic strategy plans. And we'll talk to you guys about how managers direct others and motivate them to be able to achieve company goals. We'll look over the process in which managers monitor operation assets, assesses performance, and explain what benchmarking means and the importance for managing organizations. Okay. We'll also go ahead and describe the skills needed to be a successful manager and make sure that we know what the management process is. So let's look at the important aspect here. Let's look at the management process. Now, the management process is a process of combining 4 things and doing it over and over again and hopefully creating a company. So the process of planning, the process of organization, leading, and controlling a project by resources to achieve specific goals. The goal is profit. Goal is sustainability. Goal is customer satisfaction. So the effective performance of your business will require solid management skills. And for $100, which place can you learn management skills? Beep, beep, beep. None other than Centennial College. Okay, Centennial College is the right starting point for you. However, there is going to be areas that you're going to be learning on later on and hopefully looking at skills altogether. So the process of planning, the process of organization, leading and controlling resources to achieve specific gains, specific goals, and a plan to enable you to take your business concepts beyond the idea stage. It is where the management process is. It does not, however, get work done. Okay, please remember that. There is another side to this. So for that to happen, you have to organize things effectively, efficiently, and you have to put together people and resources in place to make those things happen. Finally, you have to know whether things are in fact going well, and you'll have to control the operation. That is, you have to measure the operation. And by measuring the results, you compare them to the results that you had laid out in your plan or previously, and the management process will align to us below and summarize interrelational planning and other functions that managers will perform. Especially in today's lecture, we will explore planning, leading, and controlling in some detail and looking at the organization. That is a complex topic and a well-deserved topic on its own, okay? So we're going to be looking at some of these particular items and hopefully putting them together in what they mean for us. So let's look at the first one, planning. Planning basically is where you create vision, and a mission for your company. You take the company's core values, your governance, your norms. You create a SWOT analysis, like you guys have done for me, a SWOT analysis that pinpoints exactly what you will do. So you're going to look at internally your strengths and your weaknesses, S and W. You're going to look at your opportunities and threats, O and T. And once you identify the purpose, why your company exists, you are ready to take the remaining steps in the strategic planning process. You write your statement, you identify your core beliefs that will guide the behavior of your organization and members of the organization, and then you will assess the company's strengths and weaknesses, establish its goals and objective, its targets, and then be able to develop and implement tactical and operational plans to achieve your goals and objectives. So remember, guys, a mission statement is very, very important. A mission statement is the reason for your existence. It can be concise. Okay, it can be very well thought out, or it can be as detailed as the one that we usually would talk about on fueling the worker and the customer themselves. Then, of course, we also deal with core values and SWOT analysis, and all these things have to come together to make sure that your company has a right plan. Okay, you have to think smart. Okay, and literally when we're planning, smart is actually an item that we actually use. So a lot of times, many companies use what we call the SMART analysis. SMART, specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, related, or time based. So specific is the who, what, when, where, and why, and the which involve the goal that's defined as the goal that you want to create. Measuring a company can help you track the progress, and maybe you look at the progress on the outcome. How much, how many, and how will you know your goals? Attainable is the goal and the reasonable that need to be enough accomplished, making sure that the goal is not out of reach or below standard performance. And of course, you want to look at relevancy, where the goal is worthwhile and will it meet your objectives and your organizational needs, making sure that the goal is consistent with other established goals, plans, and timelines. And of course, making sure that the goal includes a time limit and establishing a sense of urgency and prompt better time management plans. So again, the objectives to be very, very simple. You have to set goals. You have to look at tactical plans, making sure that your operational resources are there, what if scenarios, contingency plans, and of course, crisis management. What happens when everything will go down the hole or the drain? So a shorter term of performance targets that directs the activities of a company is towards the attainment of how to achieve these goals. They should be clear. They should be well stated. They should be achievable, and they should be also measurable. They should also give target dates for the completion of the task and stipulate exactly who's responsible for taking necessary action to meet those goals. All right. So again, a goal might be, for example, a 10% return on your profits in the first 5 years. Okay, very simple goal. You want to spend money, you want to hire the right people, and you want 10% back. Another objective should be, let's say, $20,000 in sales and profit of $2,000 within the first 12 months of operation, and also high quality product production. That should be an objective. Uh, have a satisfaction score with your customers of 90% or higher on quality, and making sure that the quality will be there, and using those specific objectives to create tactical planning where you have a broken down chart of the overall more manageable shorter term components. And of course, these plans should specify the activities, they should specify the resources, the people, the planning, making sure that the implement the strategy that's needed to plan over a period of time. Often long-range strategic plans, for instance, might be implemented as a 5 year or 5 1 year plans altogether. So a lot of times you have operational planning. And the tactical plan is broken down into various operational components that provides detailed actions, steps to be taken by individuals or groups to implement the tactical plans and strategic plans all along. Operational plans cover only a brief period, maybe a month, maybe a quarter. And then you have a what if plan, okay? And the what if plan is a plan where in a contingency plan, you as a manager will plan the aspects of a business that are most likely to adversely affect by change. That is, of course, they develop a game plan of alternatives and a course of action in case of an anticipated change does happen. Maybe technology changes, customer likes will change, or we have an opportunity or threat that we need to take care of. So you engage in a what if plan. And anytime you develop a backup plan and a fallback plan, if your first plan or second plan does not become ripe. And sometimes you have crisis management plans. There could be crises going on that require immediate attention. For example, health and safety. They are waiting until such a crisis occurred. And then instead of scrambling to figure out what to do, many companies practice crisis management all the time. So what happens if there's violence in your company? What happens if there's a fire? What happens if there is leaked documents? What happens if that we go bankrupt? What happens if that somebody gets injured at work? Members gather information quickly and respond to the crisis while everyone carries out their normal duties. The team also keeps the public, the employees, and the press, including the government officials, municipal and provincial officials, informed about the situation and the company responds to it. Okay, so let's take for example, if you're handling food, food is very very common. Where, for example, after learning that somebody was not feeling well, a bowl of chili was brought to the attention of your company. They make the product. The company then sent out a quick public relation response to let people know that there is a recall going on. And within a few days, the company announced that the item where it came from will be stopped. Soon after, there was a charge going on, and there was a situation where there was a certain form of incidents that was let the individuals know that there was a area to take care of and to make sure that it does not happen again. So recalls are very, very important, guys. Whenever you deal with recalls, you want to deal with crisis management and make sure that you do not ignore anything or anyone altogether. Nonetheless, of course, all these kind of plans are in line with the process that we talk about today and with leadership. Now, you guys might be future leaders. I can see it. I can view it. Leadership is no easy task, guys. Leadership is all about you guys, and leadership has different styles. You can have an autocratic style. Autocratic style is when managers who have developed an autocratic leadership. Autocracy is that they control everything. Maybe you're a king, maybe you are a dictator, but nonetheless, autocracy is leadership style that tend to make decisions without soliciting input from anybody else, just themselves. They exercise authority. They exercise expectations from people below them and take responsibility for performing the required task without undue explanation. Then you have a democratic style. And democratic style is when managers who favor a democratic leadership style generally seek input from subordinates while retaining the authority to make the final decision happen. They're also more likely to keep subordinates informed about things that affect their work. So they are open to it. Okay, they let people get into it. Most of the time, democratic style might be in a public company, in a government company, where you let everybody know what is going on because it's free and easy. And then you have another option, which is called the free reign option. The free rein option in practice is a free rein leadership style that managers adopt, and they have a hands off approach and provide relatively little direction to subordinates. They may advise employees, but usually they give considerable freedom to solve problems and make decisions on their own. Okay, so they let people do whatever they like. Okay, as long as they come to work and do what's needed, they should be on the good side of things. Okay. Nonetheless, you deal with a lot of transformation in a company. Transformational leadership can also happen. And when you deal with transformational leaders or leadership, a lot of times it's the so called transactional exercise authority based on their ranks of an organization. They let subordinates know what is expected of them and what they will receive if they meet the stated objective. They focus their attention on identifying mistakes and disciplining employees for their poor performance. And by contrast, transformational leaders mentor and develop subordinates, provide them with challenging opportunities, working one on one to help them meet their professional and personal needs and goals, and encourage people to approach problems from new perspectives. So they stimulate employees to look beyond personal interests to those of the group. And usually, many transformational leaders have a five-step model approach where number one, they set the standards by the performance that will be measured. They measure their performance, how they do. They compare the actual performance with the standard performance to identify any deviations from the standard and determine the reason for the deviation. And if there is something wrong here, they take action. So a lot of times the goal is that you want to have a benchmark. Benchmark is you have a bench, you mark it, and you want to go either on it or above it. Okay. Basically, what is your quality of approval? So benchmarking could be considered as a specialized kind of control activity rather than controlling a particular aspect of performance. For example, defects for a specific product or recalls. You have a benchmark that aims to improve the company's overall performance and make sure that they will do a good job altogether. And then, of course, we talked about different styles of management, but please remember that we also have different management appeals and different management styles. So please remember that there are going to be different management styles that we may exhibit. And some of the management styles that are very popular, you may be a manager that has a lot of technical skills, maybe in computers or in a specific item. You may have good interpersonal skills. You get along with everybody. Conceptual skills. You know how to build a team. Communication skills. You know how to talk. Time management skills. You know how to do the job. And decision making skills that you know how to make the right call. So technical skills, guys, it's developed through job training. So yes, I talked to you about computers. If you're a programmer and you know languages, awesome. You have technical skills, but there are other skills you can build on by being trained on the job. And work experience. They're skills that are very highly in need. Generally, they're acquired during the course of your formal education, and usually you build the skills as you go along. Then you have what we call the interpersonal skills. Interpersonal skills are known as relational skills, the ability to get along with and motivate other people, and are critical for managers in mid-level positions. These managers will play a pivotal role because they report to top level managers while overseeing the activity of first line managers. As a result, they need strong working relationship with individuals and at all levels in the area. More than just others, managers have to know that interpersonal skills means people skills, and they foster teamwork, building trust, managing conflict, and encouraging improvement within their division. Then, of course, we have something called the conceptual skills. Now, conceptual skills are the ability to reason, abstract, and analyze complex situations. Uh, Basically, it's problem solving skills. Senior executives are often called to think outside of the box, think outside the bun here to arrive on creative solutions to complex, sometimes ambiguous problems that nobody has dealt with. And they need to have good, strong analytical abilities and strong creative talent to do so. And of course, you also have communication skills. Communication skills is the effective communication skills that are critical to just about anyone and everyone. They're at all levels of organizations that you'll be often judged on your ability to communicate both orally, in writing by typing it, and whether you're taking informal or making formal presentations. For myself, I make a formal presentation prepared for it, I got it organized, and I'm using my communication skills to give you a top-notch lecture. So you must express yourself clearly and concisely all the time, and definitely be precise on what you're saying. Then, of course, we have time management skills, and sometimes time management skills is not the best for some people. Wink, wink. But managers must face multiple demands on their time, and their days are usually filled with interruptions, and they deal with unknown events. Ironically, some technologies that were supposed to save time, such as your voicemail, your email, have actually increased your workload. Okay, all of a sudden, it takes time to respond. People do not have enough time, and it becomes very, very critical. Like that guy who's in that photo, shrugging his head, saying, "Why are people sending me nonsense?" So nonetheless, of course, it's actually increased the workload. And unless you develop certain time management skills, you risk reaching the end of the day feeling like you worked a lot, but accomplished next to nothing. So a lot of times you can prioritize tasks, focus on the most important things first, set aside certain time each day to return phone calls, answer emails, delegate routine tasks. Don't procrastinate. Don't forget that you are a manager. Insist that meetings start and end on time, stick to the agenda, and eliminate unnecessary paperwork. Okay, so give it to somebody else does not know what they like to do. Then, of course, a good manager should have good managerial skills and decision making skills. Every manager is expected to come up with decisions, whether alone or part of a group. Drawing on your decision making skills is often a process in which you must define the problem, analyze the situation, and a possible outcome. Okay. And select the best possible alternatives. All right. And of course, the approach that I would recommend you guys do is continue and work on a 6-step approach to decision making. So the 6-step approach on decision making is the following. Number one, identify the problem. Okay, you cannot just make a decision with no problems. Step number one should be very hands-on. You are going to go in and you will hopefully identify some problems. And the step one is getting to know your problem, which you can formulate by asking yourself basic questions. How can you, say, improve your grade, attend a class, and enjoy this lecture? Then you gather relevant data. Relevant data is step number two, information that will shed light in your problem. You will rehash some relevant information that you're ready to identify. And you probably have identified you did poorly on your finals because you didn't spend enough time studying. Not good. Or you didn't study because you went to see your partner who lives about 3 hours from campus. Okay. Over the weekend before your exam and on most other weekends, as a matter of fact, you should have been studying. Or possibly in gathering relevant information, were you what little studying you got in came at little expense of your team project and lacrosse practice and so forth, or while you were away from the weekend, you forgot to tell the mountain biking club that you had to cancel the planned meeting and you actually attended it. And this is how you gather the information and the problem. Then you will clarify the problem. So once you review all the facts and figures, you should see that your problem is bigger than simply getting your grades up. Your life is pretty much out of control and you can't handle everything to which you committed yourself to. You're very exciting, but you cannot commit it. So something has to give, and you need to clarify the problem by summing it up with another basic question. What can I do to get my life back in place? And that's where you start to generate possible solutions, possible outcomes. Okay. So you saw the information, and in those information, you want to find out some solutions. Let's say that you come up with the following possible solution to number one, quit your lacrosse team at Centennial. You step down as the president of mountain biking club because it takes too much time. You let team members do your share of work on the business project and stop visiting your boyfriend or girlfriend before a important event. Those will hopefully be the solution to your main problems, how to get your life back in order, but will probably require multiple actions. And that's where you look at the best option. And this is the toughest part of the process, working your way through your various options. You arrive at the following conclusion. You can quit the lacrosse team because you can't quit the lacrosse team because you'll lose scholarship and bursaries from Centennial. You can resign your post in mountain biking club, but won't free that much time. Or you can't let your business project team down, and besides, you just get a low grade and just assume that getting a low grade is acceptable, or your partner wouldn't like the idea, but you could visit once a month rather than once a week. So what's the most feasible, if not necessarily perfect solution for you? Probably visiting your significant other once a month, giving up the presidency of the mountain biking clubbing, but still being on the lacrosse team. And once you came up with the selected best options, we now have to implement the decisions and monitor your choice. So then what's going to happen is you're going to have, when you call you're pleasantly surprised to find out that your partner understands that school is important and they will commit to it. The vice president of your mountain biking club is happy to take over. After the first week, you'll be able to attend lacrosse practice. You'll get caught up on your team project that I'm going to give you guys and catch up on all your other classes as well. The real test here is the solution that will be the result of the final mark. So it means that you came up with 6 situations, and now the goal here is you want to see which situation best helps you get your result along the way. But please don't forget, guys, that in most areas, there is a lot of takeaways that we have to remember here. So some key takeaways that I do recommend you guys do is that management includes planning, organizing, leading, and controlling a project. Management must include both efficiency, accomplishing goals, and using the most fewest resources possible, and effectiveness of accomplishing goals as accurate as possible as well. Then the management process has 4 functions: planning, organizing, leading, and controlling a process. And of course, planning for a business starts with strategic planning, and the process is establishing an overall course of action. So that's where, as a manager, you start to identify mission statements and core values and create mission management that identifies its purpose, creates a statement, and defines what it needs. And of course, you break it down and create a SWOT analysis. You create a personal SWOT analysis for me. And a SWOT analysis assesses the company's strength and weakness, and it fits with the external environment. The goal and the objective or the performance target are established to direct a company action, and a plan to look at the operational planning and implement objectives as need be. So a manager's leadership style will vary depending on the managers and the situation and the people directed at it. There are several management styles. So we mentioned that the management styles are autocratic styles. Autocratic styles tend to make decisions without input, expect subordinates to follow instructions. When managers who prefer democratic styles, they seek input on their decisions. And there is the free rein hand, where the free rein managers provide no more guidance than needed and let subordinates and their employees make decisions and solve problems on their own. Okay. But please remember, you have transactional and transformational styles. Transactional styles, managers exercise authority according to the rank in their company. Let their workers know what to be expected. Make sure that they know exactly what it is needed, how it is needed, and what kind of steps are needed to make. Okay. And of course, in transformational styles, managers can mentor and develop subordinates and motivate them to achieve organizational goals. Okay. And of course, a strong individual who has good communication skills, decision-making skills, and time management skills can be viewed and hopefully can have a control process that can be looked on in establishing the standards of the company, measuring the performance, comparing actual performance with standards and identifying any deviations, determining the reason for the deviation, and taking corrective action if need be. So benchmarking is a process of improving overall company efficiency and the effectiveness of comparing performance to their competitors. Okay. Top managers need strong conceptual skills, while those at mid-level need good interpersonal skills. At those at lower levels that need technical skills. And please remember, all managers need good communication, good decision-making skills, and they need to be on top of their game altogether. Okay, guys? Woo. All right. So does anyone have for me any questions up until now? Any questions? Any answers? All right. Okay. So what we'll do right now, guys, is the time is 1:10. Let's take a break, a regular break that we normally do take. Okay. And what we'll do is we'll take a break and we'll go into a break mode. And then when we're back, we're going to start a new lecture about motivating leadership and motivating your employees. Okay. So enjoy, take a break, and be back at 1:20. Okay. All right. Break. And things are going up your alley. So moving forward, what I do want to talk about now is that when you have management power, and you structure yourself well in management, and we mentioned last class or last half of the class that you can actually make some rules, especially on the rules of how you want to govern and manage your company. My question now is how can you motivate employees? Okay. Motivating employees is very interesting because motivating employees means that you have some outcome and your goal is that you want to create the outcome that best fits your company and objective. Okay. So a lot of times you have to remember that if you want a successful company, you have to motivate employees. If you do not motivate employees, employees will simply leave. They will go for a better job. Sometimes you can give them a lot of money, and money is the key. Who doesn't agree with me? Okay. Would you rather get $30,000 a year or $100,000 a year? Nobody wants $100,000. Everybody wants to be silent. All right, silency will not get you anywhere, but if you were me, you would definitely take $100,000. But if the $100,000 comes with no motivation, no criteria, no ownership, is it worth it? And for many people, some people may say it's not worth it, and they may go somewhere else. So what we're going to talk about in this half of the class is we're going to talk about motivation and why motivation is important in the workplace. We'll explain the difference between intrinsic and extrinsic motivation and talk about the basic theories behind motivation, the theory of needs, the two-factor theory, expectation theory, and theory of equity. Okay. So right now, motivation, as you guys know, motivation is mostly an intrinsic thing. Motivation is an internally generated drive to achieve your goals and follow a particular course of action. Okay, so everybody has some motivation. Okay, you guys are probably motivated by something, and there are things that will motivate you. Okay, now the question is, what motivates you? Okay, and let's look at it from a college perspective. You guys are in college. You guys are studying. You guys are trying to make the most out of your education. Now, is studying getting you anywhere? Yes. Okay. It means that you're giving up something, a young, stable life, a potential career out there that you can start earlier. You're missing out on a lot of things. You're missing out on travel, your friends, the experience of being young. Okay, and what you're doing is between, let's say, you're 18, 19, and now you're in your 20s, 21, 22, maybe 23, up until maybe 25. You're going out there and you're going to school. Okay, and that means you're giving up something. You're giving up a potential to actually do something you really like. Okay. But there is a motivation behind it. The motivation is you graduate, you get your diploma, and then a lot of doors will open for you. That should be motivating. Okay. Every semester, you have new teachers, they give you marks. Is getting marks motivating? Should be. Okay, the more marks you get, the more you get a good mark. And of course, if you get a high mark, you actually will get noticed in school. So the same thing can be applied at work. Okay, you need to get motivated. Why does motivation matter in the workplace? A lot of times motivation matters because a lot of times companies are investing in the motivation of their employees, and they want to make sure that their employees are happy. Investing in the motivation of employees means you have fewer employees taking sick days. Many employees have the right to take sick days, and sometimes if they're simply not motivated, they will give you an excuse. Okay. And I hear this excuse every single day. Students are coming to me saying, hi, you gave me like a month to finish the work. Didn't finish it. I was sick for a whole month. And you think that I can, that flies with me. It doesn't. It just says that you're not motivated. Okay. And, some of it I take, in personally. Okay. Uh, there was clearly something that you wanted to do that made more sense, or you simply are a neglectful person. But nonetheless, if you are working in a company will give you days off, and sometimes there are companies out there who have a lot of people who are sick at the same time. Okay, they simply do not want to work. Okay, especially when it comes to summer, a lot of them will simply say that in the summertime, I simply do not want to work. It's nice outside, I want to make the most of it. I just don't see myself coming to work today, and they will call in sick. Okay, and you cannot really tell if they're sick or not, but you have to take their word of advice. So another thing that's also very important is that if you motivate your employees, they're more productive. They're very productive. They're more positive. They have a better attitude in working. They like working. They like enjoying the company. They enjoy being part of something. They know they have a purpose. They understand what the company does, and they are very productive, meaning that if you're going to give them 8 hours, those 8 hours are going to be very, very critical and useful for what's going to happen. Okay. So a lot of times, in order to motivate people and to have positive attitudes, you need to have a good management system that we talked about in the first half of the class to be able to do that. Okay. If you have bad positive management, no productivity, there's nothing that's going to happen. The employees will not see that there's a purpose for work. And last but not least, retention. Retention, retention, retention. We mentioned employees that are motivated tend to stay in their roles longer. And as a result, they reduce turnover rates at the cost of hiring and training employees. So please remember that a company can hire you at any time, can also fire you at any time. And when you look at firing, there's a lot of reasons why. They may fire you because you're not productive. They will fire you because you're not motivational. They may fire you because you break conduct, or they can also fire you because they're simply losing money and they cannot afford to keep you on. That's a reality. But turn it over the other side. Um, there is a right that workers have to say that they do not have to stay with a company. Okay. So if they would like, they can also leave. Okay. But in between getting fired or getting let go and resigning from your position, you have to remember that there are rules. Okay. You cannot just simply leave, or they cannot just simply fire you. Okay. More or less, a company has to give you what we call a 2-week pay. So they can fire you on the spot, but then they have to give you 2 weeks of pay plus a pink slip so that you can take the pink slip and file it for EI. If they do not do that, there is legal consequences. Moreover, the same thing for an employee. If you want to resign today, which is, let's say, Monday, you resign and you can leave 2 weeks from now. Okay. So let's say you agree that in 2 weeks you're going to leave, and now the position is open. They find a new candidate and you are replaced. Okay. This can happen. So now the question is that when you have not people being fired, but people leaving, there's a problem. Okay. And a lot of times what occurs is that a company simply has a lot of business. It's very busy, but they're not motivated to work. Okay. They're always saying to themselves, you know what? This company doesn't pay very high. There's no commission, no bonuses, no dental plans. Okay. I have a family. I need them to have health and medical plans, dental plans, vision plans, and you simply do not give it to me. So because of that, many people leave. Okay. And they leave for a lot of things. Okay. They leave for better pay. They leave for better opportunities. They leave for maybe a better scaled job. Okay. So they had maybe a junior manager position, and then they had a offer to be a senior manager. They took it. Okay. So now the game plan is how can I keep my employees? How can I make sure they stay? And the most basic option you may have right now is to give them a raise. Okay. Every year, look at their pay and maybe give them a 2.5, 5% raise randomly. As long as they stay in the company, they get a raise. Okay. But so what? Okay. So what? We live in a time right now where inflation is hitting about 10%. And it doesn't mean much that I started maybe 10 years ago, and I went up the scale every year, maybe 2 to 5%. And maybe I started in, say, 2013. I was paid $50,000, and now I'm 65,000. But when you take in inflation, rent, price of gas, price of milk, and everything we buy all together, I should technically be paid closer to 75 to $80,000. In fact, there was a recent poll that says that if somebody gets paid somewhere in the range of $75,000, mostly in Canada and mostly in North America, they should be happy. Okay, $75,000 goes a long way in Canada. Okay, $75,000 per month. If I do the right calculation here, says that per month it's around $6,250. Okay, and if you pay something like $2,500 in rent, you're mostly looking at anything extra uh, per se, minus your tax. You're looking at something in a range. I'm just gonna put maybe 6,250. I'm just gonna take good $1,500 off. You're basically bringing in $4,750. And if you're gonna spend $2,000 on rent, that means you have $2,750 left. $750 could be maybe food, and the rest could be miscellaneous, car payments, insurance, could be your entertainment costs, and so forth. Okay. So you factor in all these information all together, and now the goal here is that you would like to be able to make a lot. Okay. But the problem is that many companies do like you and they want to keep you, but they don't have a motivational game plan to actually retain you. Okay. There's nothing that really excites you here. Okay. And this becomes a huge problem in some organizations, especially when you look at retail. Retail, it's a very simple job, okay? You get paid $15 an hour, but some places they pay you a little bit more, okay? Take, for example, working at, say, Dollarama that pays the minimal, $15 an hour, and looking at getting paid maybe at Costco, where you start maybe 18, 19, $20 an hour, and you can simply go up. And a lot of people, if you go to Costco, they have a tag and they say their name. Under their name, it shows how long they've been there. Some people who I come across in Costco, they've been in that company for like, you know, 30 years, okay? And their pay is really, really high. Some of these people are being paid $150,000 to work in a store, okay? And they love it. They love working there. And doesn't and then sometimes they work Sundays and Saturdays. They simply love it. Okay. Weekends, who cares? Evenings, so what? Okay. But they retain because there is a policy. Okay. And there is something that motivates them to get there. Okay. So for other companies, maybe they cannot pay somebody $150,000, but they can give something else, maybe a discount somewhere, healthcare. They can give them, free items. Okay, that can also retain them. But now the biggest goal here is that you want to find individuals and you want to retain them all together. So that's where we're going to be looking at is in motivation. There's something called the intrinsic motivation that comes from within. Okay, I drew it really badly here, but I'll fix it for you guys. A lot of times, employees usually, uh, sometimes employees enjoy doing something and taking some form of task, having satisfaction of a job well done. And most of the time, many individuals, they have a desire to achieve something. So many people who work somewhere, they enjoy working at that place. They have some motivation out there. They enjoy working with the people. Sometimes they treat them like family. They're enjoying the task. They love what they're doing. Okay. They clock in at 9 o'clock. They clock out at 5 o'clock. Paperwork. They know what to do. They know the system. They like the system. They enjoy it. They are motivated by it. And of course, it's a job well done. There's a desire to achieve all the examples I stated here in the intrinsic value. And then there also comes the extrinsic value. Okay. Now, guys, don't get me wrong. Okay. When it comes to extrinsic value and motivation, a lot of times in contrast, it comes from external factors. Okay. So if I was to tell you in micro analysis that this is the company and this is all you've done everywhere, you're going to be happy because you do what's needed and you're happy. But then you leave your company or you walk into your company between the hours of 5 p.m. and 9 a.m. that you're not in the company, you're outside. You're outside socializing. You're outside looking at other things. And then you realize, you know what? There is other things that really bother me in my own company. So extrinsic value, not gonna lie to you guys, it's all about money. It's all about the cash that you have and the money that you get. Okay. So a lot of times you have to remember, guys, that there's an opportunity pay and you lose out on it. And there's a lot of reasons you lose out. Maybe you don't have, a diploma from Centennial yet, and unfortunately, there's not financial incentives. Maybe, for example, you don't have the experience yet, okay? And a lot of people, they stick very low at the beginning, and then they earn their way up. Even really high professionals, they do not get paid very well at first, but then afterwards, they slowly get paid a little bit more. Okay, so for example, take medical students. Medical students, they usually end up about 12 years of school on average. They have a debt easily in the hundreds of thousands of dollars. And the first thing they're going to do right after they're done and they are registered as doctors, they get residencies. And the residencies pay them very little. Okay. Long hours, very little pay, but they learn. Okay. So they're on what we call residency hours. They usually get paid somewhere in a range of at low, say 45,000 to upwards of 100,000. But after they're done residency, they're now specializing in some area of medicine, and then they work their way up. Okay. And then many doctors end up after a couple of years easily getting paid hundreds of thousands of dollars, from 250,000 roughly upwards of a half a million, if not more. Okay. So clearly there's a financial incentive out there. Okay. And a lot of times when you forget about, lawyers and doctors and engineers, a lot of people working at companies, they usually work at a certain time and then they realize that they hit the ceiling. They cannot go up. So what happens here is that there are some financial incentives that they want to include here that might be more promising. So maybe you're working at a small company and a company can only pay you $65,000, but you realize that based on my experience, based on my education, based on so many other factors, I can be able to make a little bit more. Okay. So that little bit more means that instead of making 65,000, their start is from 95,000. Okay. There is a financial incentive here. Okay. So that means that if you get, at the highest $75,000 and now you move to $95,000, you're now making close to about $8,000 a month. Okay. So now you're able to afford a little bit more. Okay. And able to be more independent. Okay. Then there's the financial side, but also the promotional side. Uh, there's a raise sometimes, but sometimes a promotion that you can be able to use your skills and be promoted to a higher level in a company somewhere else because you realize your company simply does not have any opportunities for you. And there's also in the extrinsic side, there's a fear of a punishment of doing something wrong that can also be a form of motivation. Okay. So sometimes you may be doing something incorrect. You may lose the company money, and that may actually motivate you to realize, well, you know what? The company did not fire me. They said, listen, it happens. Don't worry about it. We lost money in this deal, but we like you and you are more important than anything else. Okay. So, how do people get motivated? How do workers, how does management convert and make some motivation happen? Well, the way to do so is that they can look at what we call Maslow's need of hierarchy and understand how individuals' motivation is shaped by a variety of needs and circumstances. Okay. So the first important item that a human being needs is psychological needs. Okay. Sorry, physiological needs. All the basic needs that you can possibly think of, they're the most essential type of needs that a human being needs. Okay. You need food, you need housing. These needs must be met before an individual can fill higher level needs altogether. Then when you get food, housing, water, you need safety needs. Okay, safety means that it includes the needs from the safe, from physical harm, emotional, mental harm, and also includes being financial stable, meaning that you don't lose your safety net, you don't lose your house. Okay, some people lose their house. Okay. And some people have to live with their parents or live with their friends or colleagues or their siblings. Sometimes they don't have anyone and they become homeless. All right. Then, of course, you have social needs. Social needs, this is the needs to feel like you belong among a group of people and have some form of friendship. So you have some form of social needs. And of course, you have, if you create social needs and you become part of a group, then you can create esteem needs. Okay. This is the need to be self-respective and create status in society. Many people do not reach that status. They have physiological needs. They get food, water, love, they get safety need, they get a house. Most of us have houses, and then they create a social need where you become part of a group. So for us, many of us, we are on up until the social need. Why? Well, in social need here, we are in the social need of, we are part of a group. Okay, we are educated. We're Canadian. We live in Ontario. We live in Toronto. We are together. We are a community, and in that community, you're part of other communities. Okay, so we have a lot of people who are from, different culture background, different religions. Now you're part of another community. Okay, but then what happens here is that when you want to get to esteem, only a handful of people get to the esteem side. You have a sense of self-respect and pride, and you have a status in society. Okay, you're one of the richest. You're one of the most wealthiest individuals. You're one of the most prolific people. You are a philanthropist. You give money. You become a leader. You become a president, a prime minister. You have a office, a job in head office. You have a job in, for example, in the government. Okay, only half of people have that. All right, and when you look at the government of, Ontario, Toronto, Canada, the world, only a handful of people have that. Okay, and even when you look at status, we see status as money, and if you don't have money, then you have, power as a president or a prime minister. But only a few of us have done that. Okay, when you look at Canada's prime ministers, we only had a good 30, 40 prime ministers. Okay, same thing in the United States, and then only 1% of the society can easily say that they're kind of the wealthiest. Okay, so 1% of, say, Canada is like, I don't know, like 45, 100,000 people who are considered the wealthy part of society. So wealthy part, 45,000, 100,000 Canadians. What about the other 44.5 million people? Where do they go fit in? And that's where we are. Okay. Then, of course, we have what we call after STEAM. If you create a STEAM and you pass the STEAM stage, where again, you take a handful of 100,000 people of Canada, and many of them do not, and I want to mention, do not reach self-actualization. Okay, this is, you reach your full potential. You have done everything you wanted to, and your status, and you know how much you're worth. Okay, self-actualization is the top of the need hierarchy, and this is when a person has reached full personal potential. Okay, this means that you know how much you're worth. All right, and let me go back. Some of you guys are working part-time jobs, $15 an hour, but are you worth that much? And many of you say, well, no, I'm not worth that much. I'm worth more. But how much more are you worth? Are you worth $200 an hour? Are you worth $1,000 an hour? Are you worth $150,000 an hour? And a lot of people cannot answer that, okay, because they do not know their self-worth. Okay, they do not know how much to put in their productivity. Okay, not many people do. Okay, so to reach self-actualization means you covered everything you need to know. You do not want to go further, and you know exactly that as of today, this is how much you're worth. You've done everything that possibly you could do, and you're happy with it. Okay, and unfortunately, we are not happy with it. Okay, we've never reached that pinnacle. Okay, and sometimes do people reach that pinnacle, they go up a mountain, they go up, Mount Everest, K2, the one in Africa, Kumulawatsu in Tanzania. But Maslow's hierarchy says that we must satisfy in the beginning the lower level needs before we seek to satisfy higher levels. Okay, so you cannot get to self-actualization before you have safety, and you cannot get safety before you have physiological needs. Okay, so once we've satisfied the need, it's no longer motivates us. And once we have, for example, you have a good house, and many students are young, they come from good houses, they have physiological needs. They have, food, they have water, they have sex, they have love and relationships. Then they say, I want more. Okay. They become part of a group. Okay. So even in high school, you become part of a group. You're either one of the cool kids, one of the smart kids, one of the more posher kids, or you're an outcast. Okay. So once we satisfy the needs, it no longer motivates us and the next higher needs takes place. So you can actually imagine that even somebody like Elon Musk, he now is probably a leader, esteemed. Okay. People recognize him, they respect him. But did he meet all the self actualization? Well, if you read what he says, no. Okay. He wants to be the leader of the internet world. He wants to go up into space. He wants to colonize Mars. Okay. This guy has so many different items. And, because he wants to open the universe is infinite. Okay. You cannot find where to start the universe, where to end the universe. Okay. So two things to remember in Maslow's hierarchy, that if lower level needs are not satisfied before we seek satisfy higher level needs, that could be a problem. And once we satisfy the need, it no longer motivates us. Okay. So even people, and this is where it becomes extrinsic.
Alright.
Hello, Shakam, you're on the mic. Saxam, you had a question? No, just touching your mic. Okay. So once we come up to a situation where you make a lot of money, okay, for example, the billionaires of the world, Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, Bill Gates, all they are is a number. Okay. So when does that number stop? And for them, it doesn't stop. They started making $1 million. Then they went from a million to a billion, from a billion to a half a billion. And, there's a push right now that somebody wants to be the $1 trillion man or woman. Okay. And that will take a long time. Okay. And there is just a number. Okay. But what happens when, you miss out on life and you did not meet, sexual needs, you don't have a partner, you do not meet the esteem needs. All you did is run after the dollar, okay, and ended up either getting, $100,000 or $1 million. But at the end of the day, it's only a number, okay? It's a number, but you cannot change here is your age, okay? You get older, you miss out on the things that you did younger, okay? And in self-actualization, unfortunately, you cannot go back. There's another factor, there's another theory that I can mention to you. The theory is the two-factor theory. The two-factor theory is that in a two-factor theory, it demonstrates two types of factors that can contribute to motivating somebody in the workplace, okay? So in the workplace, if you want to have high job satisfaction, okay, you want to make sure that you can contribute to a good workplace. Some things like the hygiene factor is pay salaries. If pay salaries are fair, our salaries are fair and competitive with similar organizations, people are going to be happy. So if, for example, you work in a small company that pay you $65,000 and they know that easily you can leave for $95,000, they will compete to keep you on, okay? Then there's another side of the job security, where a job is secure, meaning it's stable. It's not precarious. It's not saying today you have a job, tomorrow you don't. You want to have a good job. And some people, they are happy working in things like governments. Why governments? They pay really good. Okay. Some people see that if you work in the government, you get stable pay and you work your way up. Okay. Other places, it doesn't happen. In private industries, they can dictate what you will get paid. So a lot of times, many people decide, you know what, it's better to work in the government. The government has a base plan, and you walk in at 9 o'clock in the morning, you leave at 5 o'clock, and the life is very simple. People like simple life, okay? They like job security, meaning that the government will not ever go broke. Sometimes company policies are very good. Okay, company policies are policies such as vacation pay, leave, or working from home, fair and flexible. Some companies sometimes in the summertime, especially, may tell you we have a 4-day policy, meaning we work Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Friday we have off. Okay, that does not happen in a government position. So many government people will say, you know what? I would rather start my weekend on Thursday night rather than Friday night. Okay. So that means that some people will see that this company might be a benefit. Okay. But nonetheless, there is other things like, working on Zoom, vacation. So some companies will give you, if every 10 years, you get an extra week of vacation. Okay. So that means that if you stay with us, you start for 2 weeks. If you stay in a company for 3 weeks, sorry, for 30 years, every decade, you get an extra week. Okay. So now you went from 2 weeks after 30 years, now you've gone for 5 weeks. Okay. So you can take 3 weeks off in the summer, 2 weeks in the winter, and you are so relaxed. Okay. Whereas if you work in the government, this might not be able to be done. Okay. Then you have relations with other people. Sometimes relations are positive. You like working with people and you like working with these group of people. And doesn't matter how much they pay you, those people are the best. Sometimes the managers might be good. Okay. Do the employees have sufficient support and directions when needed? And of course, the physical conditions. Is the workplace nice? Do you like working in an office tower? Do you like working downtown Toronto? Do you like working with suits and ties? Do you like working with computers? That will be a good factor for you. But then you have motivational factors, which mean recognition. Do you receive recognition for the work done? Do you get a plaque saying you are a member of the week? Do you receive achievements? Is the work challenging and stimulating? Responsibilities. Is the employee fair? Is the responsibility and opportunities to take more responsibilities appropriate? What about promotions? Okay, promotions opportunities. Are there any opportunities to move up in the organization? To move up in the field, to make sure that those fields are going to be in place, and what type of field will be in. Okay. So a lot of times when you are going to be able to look at those specific areas, you're going to be able to understand here that those specific areas are going to be part of the promotion, part of the opportunities, and of course, opportunities for personal growth. Okay. Sometimes I'm not gonna lie, many people received opportunities to go up, but decided to still be in the company because the company actually pays for their school. Okay. So they actually decided, you know what, when my other friends are going up the ladder, I will stay in the company because that company is paying me to go to school. Okay. And I've seen it before where people were, they had an opportunity to work in a company that paid them $95,000. They stayed in a company that paid $55,000 because that company allowed them per semester to go to school and take up to 3 classes. The only policy is you must pass the class. Okay. So there was people in my other classes that received free education. Okay. So instead of paying, $20,000 for the education, they ended up, getting it for free. Okay. And of course, there is also another theory of motivation, which is the expectation theory. This theory makes explicit the connection between effort performance and reward. So the effort is the employees believe the effort will produce an acceptable performance, where the employees believe it will produce something that they will like. Then, of course, the performance is that employees then believe that acceptable performance will earn a desired reward, meaning that if they stay longer or they work harder or they do things that go above and beyond, there's performance. And when performance are there, there's rewards. Okay. So employees value the value offered by the reward, meaning that employees value some form of a contingency for getting something better. So a lot of times, if you don't put the effort, you don't get performance. But sometimes you do the effort and you don't get a reward. Okay, so you have to be very careful. And for managers, they have to make sure that you and your expectation theory relies on strong connection between the effort, performance, and the reward. Because if somebody goes above and beyond, for example, recently, I believe a famous Marvel comic star, Canadian as well, he commented on the bad relationship that he had with, unfortunately, Air Canada. And he said that, Air Canada is a terrible place to work. But you did mention that there are good workers. So the people who do a really good job, do they get recognized for it? And if they don't get recognized, then they'll leave for another airline. Okay. So a lot of times when we look at expectation theory, it's very important to remember that there are pitfalls. Okay, significant effort does not result in satisfactory performance, and sometimes satisfactory performance is not guaranteed to be the only reward. So the reward is not considered as valuable. So it means that sometimes the expectation theory relies on strong connections, and unfortunately, motivation will end up decreasing if these connections are weakened at any point along the chain. So it means, for example, you do a really good job, and instead of getting promoted, instead of getting, something good, all you get is a pat on the back. But I want to get paid more. I want to get a better position. I want to get security. Okay. And unfortunately, we've seen it before. There's been situations, especially now because of social media. There was a airport employee that worked at McDonald's for roughly 30 years. And all he got was everything that was on the desk of the manager. So the manager saw that there was a nice thermos from Starbucks. He put it in. He put in some tokens, some coupons, put it in a bag, and gave it to him. And then people heard about it, and they were disgusted. The fact that somebody, irregardless of day or night, they work and work and work, and they're not even treated well. Okay, so now not only people see that if you mistreat workers internally, they're going to leave, but outside, customers can also see it and say, you know what? I do not really want to shop or go to this company because they mistreat the workers. They don't give them something to look up for, unfortunately. Okay. So along the way, guys, when we look at the theories, there's also what we call the theory of equity. Equity theory is how we are treated relative to other people, how we contribute to the reward ratio, and how job inputs against job outcomes. Okay. So job inputs is how much hours you worked, the performance you did, and how much education you have. And you balance it with the outcomes on how the hours you work, the performance, education will go and help you on promotion, on a better salary, bonus, commission, recognition, and beyond. So the equity theory focuses on our perception, how fairly we're treated relative to other people. And in the workplace, employees may create a mental contribution to reward ratio in which they weigh jobs inputs, such as if I work 10 hours a day, would I get a better output? And how much education I need, how much performance against the job outcomes, and how can I get promotion, better salary, better bonuses, and recognition at the end of the day. Okay. And last but not least, beyond the equity theory has a basis on comparison. So a lot of times it's hard to compare with other people because maybe you're in the front lines and you're expecting a lot, but you have to compare it to someone in a similar position, either in your company or in another company. So maybe you worked at a company for 2 years, but somebody in your position worked for 10 years and he has a different salary than you. Okay. Or someone with different role in the same company, but in a different organization. Okay. So for example, you work for 2 years in a company and there's somebody in another company that works for 2 years, and clearly you can compare how much they're getting paid and what their outcome is relative to yours, or someone with the similar occupation, meaning your same title and what they're getting paid, or someone that shares certain characteristics. Maybe they're in your same age group, they're male and female, they work in the same demographics as you do, they work in the same city, or something very similar. Okay. Or oneself at another point in time. Maybe you say to yourself, that person started 10 years ago and get paid this much, but someone who started now is getting paid the same. Okay. So the contribution to rewards ratio is that when we form equity theory, it can be applied in many different ways. Okay. And this illustrates 5 different points. Okay. Either someone in different positions, someone holding a different position in a different organization, someone with similar occupation, someone who shares certain characteristics, or oneself at another point in time. Okay. So what I want to do right now, guys, is I want to talk a lot about the next half of our class. Next week, I'm going to give you some questions, and I want you guys to finish the questions by the end of the class. I'm going to give you time in class. We're going to talk more about motivations. So please, guys, remember to join our discussion. Make sure that you understand exactly what the outcome is, and I'll give you guys time in class to write it in and be able to deliver it to me and give it to me at the same time. Okay? So please, guys, be prepared. Next class, I'll give you an in-class assessment like last week. Please make sure to work on it and complete it for me. Prof, I've a question. Umi, what is your question? Hello? Question? Okay, but unfortunately, if you were not here, you cannot submit it. But you please focus on the other one, okay? It's not I want to submit, it's not a I feel like submitting an assignment. You have to do it in class. So please make sure to join us next week because there's still marks to be given. Okay, Umi? Nasim, you had a question?
Yes, Professor. In the last slide, I didn't understand the difference between when we were just comparing, someone in a similar position and someone with a similar occupation.
Sure. So someone in a similar position might mean, for example, let's say you work in a fast food restaurant. In the first one, you can judge yourself, someone who works in the same fast food chain as you do, and then someone who works, say, for example, you work in Burger King, somebody who works at Subway. Okay. And then someone who works in a similar position, occupation as you do, but maybe in a different organization, a different industry. Okay. So you're going to look at it from a macro perspective. So if you look, for example, if you put a hierarchy, so you look, for example, within your company, maybe there's like, 5 people working in your company, then a similar organization than you have, maybe somebody who's like, you times it by 10 companies around you. So now you have 50 workers, and then similar occupation, maybe it's somebody who might work in a different position, but maybe not indirectly with the fast food industry. They may be working, say, in the back in the warehouse. They may be working, say, in your pay grade. It can be different. So somebody that you want to judge and you want to look at similarities.
Okay, thank you, Gala.
You're welcome. But it's a lot of times it's the equity level, right? So for example, maybe someone with a similar occupation might be living in another country. So Nassim, for example, there are workers working at, say, Tim Hortons in Alberta that get paid like $30 an hour. There's a lot of reasons why they get paid $30 an hour, but we're talking about somebody comparing to them versus somebody who works, say, in a restaurant in downtown Toronto. So
Yeah.
it's not the same, but it's somewhere around the same occupation, the same deliverable, the same experience.
Yes, exactly. Thank
So
you.
you're welcome. So Nassim, for example, in business, for example, when you are graduating, you can compare yourself, for example, with somebody in your field, in your program, then someone in a different program in, say, Seneca or George Brown, and then someone who just has a title, but maybe you want to do international business or administration, but they are maybe marketing or international business. So it's kind of the same, but it's almost kind of different as well.
Yeah, I see. Thank you.
You're very welcome. All right. Any other questions about our conversation? Talk about the Dropbox, but there's no option for a GE assignment. So what do I have to do? The CGE assignment is now available. Okay. You have until the 20th to complete it. Okay, Ume. So please, when you click on it, you see the dates. Which specific section are you in? Ume, can you let me know? But for now, let me just go to Gustavo. Gustavo, you have a question?
Yes, teacher. Sorry, I didn't understand if for the next class we have to do something.
Okay, so for the next class, okay, we're gonna have a question like we did last class. And I'm going to talk to you guys about which specific motivation motivates you. I'm going to give you the question on the day of the class on Wednesday, and you're going to get some time to complete it.
Oh, okay. Thank you, teacher.
Yeah. You're welcome. Ume, back to you. Which section, prof? Which section are you? Your BUSN 119. You do not know the section up until now. IU 018, 003, 005. Which number are you? So I can help you here. But now let's, guys, if you don't have any other questions, you can take it off, guys. We're done for today. Again, you have to know, go to the Centennial. This will help you. Do not say, do know. Do know is not professional. I do not know. You will check it up with me, okay? So please make sure you know what section you're in so that I can help you. But if you guys do not have any further questions, guys, we're done for today. I hope you enjoy it. I will see you guys here next week on Wednesday, and we will talk ahead. Bye for now.
Thank you, Professor.
Thank you yourself, Nassim. Good question, by the way. Have a good one, guys. Take it easy, and I will help you guys out. So Ume, don't leave. I'll help you here, okay? Which section are you in? Go to your Centennial, and I will assist you here.